Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. So Chai with my Bhai is back, and alhamdulillah, this time season 3 is going to be available on the podcast app, both on Android and Apple devices. So if you're on either of those, then click the link below, inshallah. Subscribe to the podcast. I promise you're not going to want to miss it. And now it's accessible for you wherever you are. If you're on the train, you can listen to it with your headphones in, or you've got AirPods, Beats, whatever headphones you have, inshallah. You can listen to it wherever you are, whenever you are, inshallah. And if you're watching on YouTube, as always, just remember you can watch the video. And all the previous episodes from the last 2 seasons are available on YouTube. If you go to the playlist on Nasiha Session, the YouTube channel, if you go to the playlist, it's called Chai with my Bhai. You can find all the previous episodes there. And inshallah, from now on, all the future episodes on the podcast app. Peace. Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, brothers and sisters. Welcome to another episode of Chai with my Bhai. In today's episode, we have a very special guest, alhamdulillah. We've got one of the Knowledge College instructors. We've got Ustad Yasin Munya. Give salam, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yasin Muhammad.
Sorry, Yasin Muhammad Munya.
Yeah.
And we've got the usual panel of Imran and Saad.
Can't say my real name.
You can't do that.
You can't say it.
Okay, so I guess we have to bleep out those middle names. But so why is it that you insist on using his middle name but not yours?
No, his
Because
mum
my
wants
mum
his mum wants his middle name.
Subhanallah.
Yeah, as for
That
me-
is so cute.
Yeah.
Allah Akbar. You know, it reminds me of the story of who was it? Is it Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Badr? He was supposed to go to UAE, but then he
Yeah.
cancelled because his mom's asked him not to go.
Yeah.
That was the right
It's true.
Sheikh, right?
Yeah, it's true story.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like
For sure.
you'd think in it that when you're at that age and he's in his what, like 40s, 50s?
50s, 60s,
He's in his
60s.
He's in his 60s.
Yeah, don't look at it.
So how old is dad?
Oh, 84,
80
85,
something, yeah.
86. something
Allahumma
like that.
barik. What? He does not look it though.
Yeah, he
Allahumma
doesn't
barik.
lie like this.
Allahumma barik.
Beard and short
Allahumma
black.
barik. Yeah, wow. Okay, that's crazy. And but yeah, no, that's cute. Allahumma barik. That's good, man. Mashallah,
Yeah,
that's
mom
good.
says I have to
Be obedient.
mention my second name.
Allahumma barik. That's good. And obviously I've already mentioned you guys' names. But we're gonna have to bleep out the middle names. Inshallah, no government names.
No government name.
At least you guys give your first name,
My name's
unlike
Imran.
Mr. Wavy, who insists that we can't even know his first name.
Everyone knows his name.
I'm sure everyone knows, yeah, but I guess that's gonna be bleeped out. Oh no, I don't know.
I'm
I
gonna
don't,
bleep
I don't
that
think he cares. I don't think he cares anymore.
Out.
I don't think he cares anymore. Anyway, today's topic, inshallah, we thought we'd do one. It's an interesting one. It's on the issue of how effective is, how do I word this, the West when it comes to tackling crime in general compared to the Sharia. How effective would the Sharia be if it was being implemented compared to the laws and punishments that are in place today in today's society, right? And one thing I want to start off with first and foremost is just a quick story, just to give you guys a little idea of one of the reasons why we decided to do this particular topic. There's one brother who, we're not going to mention his name or anything to allude to who he is, but his brother who we know recently, and he was arrested by police because he was walking around the streets with a samurai sword tucked into his tracksuit bottoms on a very hot day. So it's an extremely hot day. He's wearing tracksuit bottoms,
I don't know.
and
He's
he's
not
got.
even smart. Like obviously.
I
I'm
don't know
hard-
him, innit? I'm just-
Say that again?
Who in the world is
I don't know
that?
who
Yeah,
you said we know him. I
No,
don't
no,
know.
you don't know him. You don't know him.
We're not bucking him.
And we're trying to
I
mentor
don't
him.
know,
He's,
yeah.
he's one of the brothers that we're working on. We're trying to give
Mashallah.
da'wah to. We're in touch with the family.
Mashallah.
Alhamdulillah. We're trying to give him da'wah. And he was walking around with a samurai sword tucked into his tracksuit bottoms.
Double
and
tracksuit bottoms.
double tracksuit bottoms on a very hot day. Now, obviously, there are brothers. I know brothers like Jabir who wear tracksuit bottoms even if it's really hot under their thobe. But I'm talking about this was like it's sweltering hot, and he's wearing thick tracksuit bottoms and whatnot. So obviously, police pulled him over, did a stop and search, and they found a not a knife, a samurai sword. They found a samurai sword. For those of you who don't know what a samurai sword is, samurai with my chai with my Bhai, it rhymes. For those of you who don't know what a samurai sword is, we'll put one up on the screen.
We ain't got no samurai swords, bro. You said samurai with my child by it.
Oh yeah, no, I was trying to
We ain't
rhyme.
got no samurai
Anyway.
swords.
We'll put one up on the screen. That's a samurai sword. Anyway, so police found him, they took him to the station, right?
Arrested him.
Booked him in, arrested him, whatnot. Blah, blah, blah. Long story short, after a few hours, he got released and he got an £80 fine. And this is a brother who's previously been arrested for stabbing someone.
Yeah, he's under investigation for having stabbed someone.
And yeah, he's currently under investigation. So, after being found with a samurai sword, he was fined £80. And that's the extent of his punishment.
Ajib.
and this is someone who's known to have stabbed or someone who's under investigation for stabbing someone previously.
Mm.
When I heard that, I was like, are you sure? Are you sure he's not just saying that trying to make it sound like, he didn't get birdied but no, he genuinely only got hit with an £80 fine. So we were like, what? Like, people complained, knife crime is rising, and, crime in general is rising in London. You get, these days you get moped attacks and thieves and whatnot. So the issue is clearly it's not working because, again, crime numbers are rising, people are complaining, What would Islam have done in that situation?
That's you have to understand, because obviously we deal with these brothers on a regular day-to-day basis, That's not going to in any way, shape or form deter him from doing that again.
Of course.
We learn in school that, punishment, it has one of four intentions. It's either one is to deter the person from doing that wrong again. I.e., for example, he's scared, I'm never going to do that again. Number two is what? It's to reform the person. As in you punish him, put him in jail so that he changes, he gets better. Time to think about it, right? The third one is that it's a vindication. It's retribution, as in it's to kind of give the victim a sense of justice. As in this guy harmed me, now he gets it as well. And there's a fourth reason which I can't remember right now. But I'm saying this doesn't meet any of those. It's not going to reform him.
It's literally like pocket money. Next time I get caught, I'll just give him £80 again.
If I'm not mistaken, he himself is selling drugs as well. So that's like probably what, like a few, obviously these little drug dealers don't make much money anyway. But that's probably like a week's worth of drugs. And it's like, let me just go buy another samurai sword and do it again. So it's a joke. These guys.
I just want to ask you a question, right? So, in the Sharia, what would have been? Obviously, it's a difficult one because obviously in the Sharia you're allowed to walk, or you are allowed to walk around generally with a weapon.
It depends on the law of the land.
On the law of the land.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say for example, where's one place? Okay, look, for example, in the Haram, you're not allowed to carry weapons, right?
Yeah, not allowed. Yeah.
If someone was found to be carrying a weapon there, what would be the punishment for that person?
That goes back to the discretion of the judge.
Okay.
It's the same thing. So.
But let me ask you another question though. A person who is known, for example, he's found guilty of having stabbed someone in the past and he's carrying on weapons, but he not come under the ayah Surah Al-Ma'idah, the people muharibin, Allah.
They wouldn't come under that.
What would they come under? But isn't that the armed robbers?
That's armed robber. That's a person who's armed. He caught robbing people with armed weapons.
So that's what these kids are doing.
That's if he done it. He didn't get caught doing it.
That's what I'm saying. I'm in a situation where he was caught. Like he's caught robbing someone, or he tried to rob someone, he stabbed them, he put out a knife. I'm saying.
So we're asking, like, if someone now tries to attack someone with a knife, what will happen to them? If someone tries to attack someone with a knife, it depends on what they do.
Meaning,
if they kill the person, then they are killed, and they are also they're killed basically, and they're crucified. Yeah. Killed and crucified.
Crucified meaning
that would come under that will come under the ayah.
That will come under al-hiraba. It's called hiraba. So they'll be if they stole and they killed, then their hands will be chopped off from the opposite side. So from the right hand and the left foot, or the left or the right foot and the left hand. Yeah. Will be chopped off, number one.
As well as being crucified.
Being crucified and killed. No. As if he just stole, then his hand would just be chopped off and his foot. Right hand, left foot. Or left hand, right foot. You get it? So it depends on what exactly he does. Yeah. Some scholars, they say, goes back to the discretion of the judge. He could do all of that if he wants, even if he doesn't kill. But this is the opinion of Ibn Abbas, radiallahu anhuma. That's what happened. So you look at what he done. If he stole with a weapon, if he robbed someone with a weapon, and he killed him, then he's crucified. And he is, his right hand and left foot is chopped off.
But it can be that even if he just stole, if the judge wills, he could give them all.
If he takes that opinion, they could take.
Like for example, I just because of course we're talking theoretically here because we're not in a situation where like the Islamic law is applied, and of course this would be something that's in the hands of a qadi, not
we don't have the ability to apply that.
It kind of does. It kind of like, would it be wrong if we would say that it would be in line with reasoning that if there was a situation like in a Muslim country like now where everyone is just stabbing each other, knife crime is high, that they would intensify the punishment to send a lesson?
Yeah, exactly.
So a person who just maybe might just rob someone with a knife, he'll get killed now.
Yeah, exactly. So the scholars they discuss: are you allowed to do ta'zir, which is basically to punish someone by killing them. But ta'zir is basically a law that doesn't have a specific punishment.
Yeah.
Someone does something that doesn't have a specific punishment in the Sharia.
Yeah.
So for example, in the Sharia, if you rape someone, you have a specific punishment,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, no.
It's mentioned in the
What is
Sharia.
the punishment? If you don't mind me asking?
Rape, it depends what it comes under. If it's hiraba, then it comes under the same thing, the Ma'idah, where he could be crucified and
As
killed.
in, like if you raped her with a
executed.
weapon, for
Yeah,
example.
with a weapon. Or if he doesn't, then it could be lashed. And it could be just execution straight away.
Yeah.
That's the correct opinion, Wallahu alam, that is execution straight away.
Yeah.
According to some scholars. The point that I mentioned was that is this punishment is a deterrent, you know? If you find that a person in a country where people are being killed all the time, when the punishment is made harsher, or just to show the people that look, we're not going to tolerate this, it has a huge effect on the society. Like one of my mashayikh, Sheikh Abdul Salam al-Shuwair, he was mentioning a story when he was studying the Kitab al-Jinayat, which is the criminal law. He mentioned a story of a city that there was a lot of stealing in that city for a long time. So one time, one person, when the Sharia came into that city, one person's hand was cut off for stealing. And so he said that there was no robbery in that city for 50 years after that.
But can I ask you a question? Like, I know people at home probably think the same thing. Like, isn't that a bit like savage, like barbaric? Like I know I'm wearing a top that says mad thing in the masjid. By the way, if you want to get one, click the link below. But that takes mad thing to another level. Like you're crucifying people, killing them, cutting their hands off. Isn't that a bit mad?
No, because if you look at the situation of the UK, and who's saying that's a bit mad? It's the guy in the UK where he can't even go outside because he might get stabbed, right? That's the guy who's saying it. So, and the people who are applying it in certain countries, we go outside in the streets in the middle of the night, open up. Literally, I literally leave my doors open 24 hours a day. I don't close my doors in Saudi Arabia.
You're from London?
In Mecca.
In Mecca.
In Mecca. I don't close my doors. I literally don't close. Sometimes I don't
So you're saying
have
that
the key.
there's no crime whatsoever?
I'm not saying there's no crime. I'm not saying there's no crime. But I'm saying like the guy he has no right to say that because you're literally living in a country where you're at risk of being raped. I remember I risk at a higher risk, because I remember a survey, 2012, that 32,000 rapes happened in the UK, reported only in the UK. 32,000 in the UK, 72,000 in America. Imagine that. So that you're talking from a country, you're saying we're barbaric.
Compared to what though?
50 in Saudi Arabia.
50? No, but that's reported. How do we
50.
know
Okay,
how many there are that aren't reported?
Let's just say double wasn't reported, or triple wasn't reported, or quadruple, 10 times wasn't reported, 500.
It's still less.
Still way less.
No, but maybe there's just like literally that, but it might be
really,
that
you have done
0.1%
no.
people report it because they're scared.
Nah, I'll be honest. You know, to make that argument, what basis does it have? Let's talk about the numbers and the facts that we actually have.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? And not just.
And why are people scared there, not here?
Yeah, exactly. That's another point.
That's a
Is
big
that
point.
when I go to Saudi, akhi, or forget Saudi, I go to Dubai. Wallah, akhi, I don't walk the streets of Dubai looking over my shoulder. But here, I'll be honest, I'm paranoid. I'm unsafe. The point is that what I'm saying is here, you've got people like running around like maniacs with weapons on the streets. And like just yesterday, I saw a video. The police stopped over some guy that was driving, and the guy did what? He pulled out a machete or something, and he
In Leighton, yeah.
in Leighton, and he slashed the police officer in the face.
Yeah.
All the police officer had in return was a taser. Now, obviously, he managed the situation with the taser, but actually, like you got kids running around with guns. They've got big guns.
Even that, like only I think
just
less than a third of London Met police officers, I think, it's about 12,000 out of the 30-something thousand that there are, roughly a third have tasers. Majority of police officers that are in the Met don't even have tasers.
Really?
Yeah. But I think they're trying to improve that.
So you're saying the majority of them don't have tasers, and the majority of these kids on road, the majority of them, they've got,
Everyone's got at least a little knife. Most of them got big Rambos, with the serrated edges.
I don't see little
samurai
knives
swords.
anymore. They have now. There's one knife. They call it the zombie killer.
Yeah.
Like you know what it is?
No.
Basically, it's got these
I can
edges
tell
that
what
come
it
out
is.
of it, and it's calm and it's
Oh.
curved. So when you put it into a person,
It rips
it
out.
rips out the intelligence. You want to say that?
Wow.
No, basically, I just wanted to mention in regards to the issue of safety, right?
Yeah.
It's true. Like if you look at, for example, a city like Dubai, like I can go there at night time, and I can walk with my daughter, and I can have her walking behind me and me walking ahead of her, and not be worried that anything's gonna happen to her. But here in this country, I don't even take my daughter outside.
Exactly.
I'm too scared. Yeah, anything could happen.
That's
Someone
true. I
could
mean, there's
throw
videos of like little
somebody
kids
could
being taken
kidnap
in
And motorbikes.
in forget
Yeah.
motorbikes, even on in supermarkets. I think it was a Tesco or something.
Damn,
There's one
Tesco's.
video where some man just took her like
Stuff.
the mom was doing something and he took her from
Matter,
the.
you know, for example, the thing that happened in Richmond, I think last year.
Yeah, Petersham. Actually happened in Petersham, which is one of the
Sorry.
richest parts of the whole country.
Yeah, what happened to Saad?
What happened?
No, there was a mother that was in the park, right? And then some guys just came and just started kidnapping her child.
On a motorbike. You never
That's
saw it?
mad. No, I saw the one. No, you talking about the one where the mum was walking, she was crossing the road.
Yeah.
And then 4 guys came. No,
Yeah.
what they said to her is, give us your jewellery or we're going to take your daughter.
No, there
So
was
she grabbed her daughter, started screaming, and the lorry guys came out, the builders came
Yeah.
out with the scaffolding, started chasing the guys down.
Okay, there was another one, right? But there was nothing to do with motorbikes. There was a woman that was in Richmond Park, and her daughter just got robbed.
Her daughter, as in her
Kidnapped.
Kidnapped,
Oh,
sorry.
okay. I thought someone stole something from her daughter.
Yeah, it
She
is.
got kidnapped. I'm saying, wallahi, I'm scared to take my daughter to Richmond Park. I would never take her to
Yarhamakallah.
Richmond Park. Yarhamakallah.
But okay, so
And just to mention,
I
yeah,
want to
because
mention. Go on.
So-
Go on. Go on.
well, I was supposed to ask you, you know these punishments here, obviously they're very, very, very severe. You agree on that, right? But okay, let me put it this way: how many
no, but-
times do they actually happen? I mean, as in,
Can I
are
just
they
mention-
more of a preventative measure, or do you see them actually happening very, very like? Are they working? Is the question I want to ask.
Before can I just say something? Yeah, because just before he goes on to it, because it's linking to that point that you made previous. You know, when you think of something that I don't think is barbaric at all, but
that's what I'm thinking.
barbarism is just like, I don't even know if barbarism is a word, but
But I'm not saying I believe it's barbaric
Yeah,
either.
I know
I'm
you're
just
not.
playing the
You're not-
host, and
yeah,
I have to
yeah.
ask these questions.
so I'm saying when people say that's barbaric, they mean it's inhumane.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it's against human
it's
rights.
uncivil. It's against human rights. It's cruel. They're saying it's
Yeah.
cruel. It's not cruel at all. This is not cruel at all, and I'll tell you why. In it is a mercy. In it is a mercy because through it people get to live. So Allah Azza wa Jalla said in the Quran, وَلَكُمْ فِي الْقِصَاصِ حَيَاةٌ, that for you in these capital punishments is life. Akhi, people live through this. The fact that one person who committed a crime, he murdered someone, and then what happened? In public, by the way, he was executed in the streets of London.
And they say on a Friday.
Yeah, I'm talking about here. They let them do it on their Sunday or whatever. I said, if someone was executed here by law, I'm not talking about vigilantes. This has to be a legal process.
Like, please take them to court.
Yeah,
court's
the judge,
execution,
all that.
no.
Of course, we're not talking about anyone.
They used to
taking
have that here back in the days, right? Like
Sorry?
Henry VIII used to
Of
have
course.
execution.
Forget
No,
that.
just
Actually,
50
until
years ago.
1998, bro. 1998 is the time where they abolished the capital punishment.
When was Henry VIII?
400-500
Come on,
years
that's
ago,
like
right?
1400s.
It was a long
bro.
time ago, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm saying about that one person now. What happens? Actually, from that point onwards, actually, no one else is going to pick up a knife.
Even USA, they've got
Some states.
capital punishment in some states, right?
No,
They
but
inject
yeah.
you.
No, but you see,
Inject you
and I'll tell you
electric
something. That's inhumane. Shall I tell you why? Because I looked into this a lot. You know the capital
Sometimes
punishment.
it goes wrong.
Yeah, no, a lot of the times it goes wrong.
And it causes
W-
mad
and
pain.
and it causes pain. The pain.
Yeah, I
but
was
now the
watching
person's dying, you can't
documentaries
stop
about
it.
it.
So he's foaming at the mouth. He's just, but for what? The way it is in the Sharia, it's quick.
No, but I want to mention about.
We've got to be so careful because someone
Yeah.
cuts out clips of this
Yeah.
podcast. They could make it seem like we're
Someone
trying to
else
say something we're really not
No, of
saying.
course, look, we said it time and time again. People know our position, which is to, you can't go against the law of the land. This is something that you're contracted. You live in the country, you have a passport, you have to abide by the law. And what we're talking about here. I'm saying if you don't like it, leave. Hijrah is better for you. But the thing is, what we're talking about here is the way that the government here in the UK and in America and Canada, the way that they deal with crime. Is it actually achieving the goals of what punishment is? For example, deterrence, for example,
Go on.
reformation, for example, vindication.
Saad, you see what you want
Yeah,
to...
not just obviously. I was doing a bit of research, right, in regards to UK crime and the system and what they have in place in trying to prevent crime over the years. And what's interesting that I read, and this was a statistic that came out in November 2018, that since last year, the government they spent 57 billion pounds. on
Million or
crime.
billion?
Billion.
Billion.
Million. Sorry, million.
Million.
Yeah,
There's a big difference between the two.
57 million pounds on preventing crime in the UK, and it's only been increasing over the years. And what's interesting is that crime is only increasing over the years as well. So where's that money? How's that money even helping?
Because I know that Theresa
that,
May,
let me
she
give
took off, I think there was about 20,000 police officers. She took them off the road. And now Boris Johnson, BJ, he's trying to bring them
Yeah.
back because he's like, I think she was Home Secretary at the time. And so now they've realised, oh snap, we've got like a real shortage. Because it's true, nowadays police, there's just not enough. The amount of crimes they have to do, sorry, for the amount of crimes that they have to solve and whatnot, they have to attend to, there just really is just not enough police around. That's a big problem.
Can I just mention something about barbaric stuff? The barbaric thing.
Yeah,
Go on.
go on.
First of all, to say something's barbaric, that's what I mentioned at the beginning, right? Who's talking? The one who's talking is in London, and he literally can't go outside. We just hear some sirens right now. I don't hear that, by the way, where I live. We don't hear hardly. And it's only the ambulance, and it's only when someone had a heart attack or something like that. Never, hardly ever see something like that. Anyway, the point is, the one who's talking is saying that he's living in a country where, number one, you can't stop crime, and you're blaming people who are stopping crime in the correct way, and you're saying they're barbaric, number one. And number two, you have a system which actually is barbaric. You're putting men in cages, in prisons, right? That a person is literally going to go crazy, and that is.
Are there no prisons in Saudi?
No, there is, but I'm saying the crimes that's happening, or the crimes that these people are doing, you're not
that, for example,
solving
you've
it.
got a rapist, you're putting him in a room with another guy who he might end up raping.
You're not solving the crime, but you're putting the guy in prison for something that when he comes out,
I know that's a powerful point.
He's gonna be
What he's saying is
the same.
What he's saying is that you're punishing. Like
Punishment isn't specific to the crime.
No.
That's number one.
Tell me if
That's
I
what I'm
understood.
going to. And I think what you understand
That
is correct.
If you're punishing him, the punishment has to be
Suitable for his crime.
suitable for the crime, as in it should stop the crime.
Exactly.
Here you're not stopping the crime,
He's not
and
stopping
you're
the
still
crime.
punishing him.
Exactly. And in that
You're
way,
punished for-
and
that's
the
what I'm saying.
punishment
What's
is
the point
worse.
of punishment here?
And to be honest, that punishment is worse. And they mentioned that the prison punishment is actually worse than the punishment of someone, for example, lashing. We're having the Sharia have lashing, right?
Yeah.
They say that the lashing in public has a bigger effect on the heart of a person when it comes to him being remorseful, feeling sorry for what he's done, than prison. Because we find the situations when a person comes out of prison, most of them they reoffend, right?
Yeah.
Most of them reoffend. But the lashing has a bigger effect, and it's more humane as well.
Okay, this is a very important point to mention. Yeah, he said most of the people who go to prison reoffend.
Yes.
Akhi, most of the people who go to prison they reoffend.
Yes.
You're not solving nothing if that's not proof. I don't know what is. And not just that. In that, you know how long it costs to keep one person in prison for 1 year?
I think it's like £70,000 or something. Was it?
Okay, it's gone up because when I studied law I studied law at university.
Okay.
I remember back then they told us it was £30,000 to keep a person
It might
behind
still be that
bars.
much. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
So I'm saying the guy didn't even steal that much. He stole $1,000 and you put him in prison for 2-3 years or 1 year or whatever, however much the punishment is. You spent more to keep him in
Keep him in.
than he actually did.
Just one more point, just to illustrate that it's really not effective, and this is, I think, this happening in America. And what just tying into this point is the issue of people feeling like they have to be politically correct. You know, these days with liberalism spreading to an extent where, you know, it's literally like even police, I think they're afraid to an extent to implement the powers that they do have because they're afraid that they're going to be labelled as, oh, you know, you guys are police brutality or this and that. You know, it's become a real issue now. But going back to the prison issue, I've read an article that there was a guy, and obviously, you know, these days you can decide officially, legally, that you can be whatever gender that you want to be. So he was in jail for, I think he raped a woman or something like that. So during his time in jail, he decided, you know what, I'm a female. So he associated himself as a female, so they put him into a female prison. He's in a cell. Then you've got a rapist.
Is this true story?
A man,
You
who's a
have to put the
rapist,
article here.
is in a cell
I heard
with a female inmate also, and he abused her, and then he got a second one, he abused her as well. And if that just doesn't highlight, like, and that's not specific to the
that
crime
is so
system.
mad.
That's just the system in general. Like, it's a joke, like, you know, that you can just decide on and off. You know,
So
like,
how can they call us barbaric after that?
that's what I'm saying. That for me
You
shocked
know-
me. Like, where did you draw that line where it's just
I
like,
don't even care if they call it barbaric, to be honest. You're just lying. It's not true.
Can I just comment on that? What you just said? Yeah, you said that's something that's not even a problem connected to their punishment system. That's a problem connected to them as a society as a whole. And this brings me to another point that I wanted to mention. If you look, you see, like I think it was Uthman radiallahu anhu, he said that khamr is al-kaba'ir. It's the mother of the major sins, because a person, you know, like you mentioned on the minbar one time, a story, a man, he finds himself with a woman. The woman says to him, look, either drink this cup of alcohol, do zina with me, or kill this child. And of course, in that situation, you think to yourself, like, drinking the cup of alcohol is the lesser of two evils. If that's the only way for me to get out and
that's
escape.
sort of 3 evils, technically. But
The
yeah.
lesser of 3 evils. Yes, if that's the only way for me to escape and get out, then I'll just drink the alcohol. He did. He said when he drank the alcohol, he got drunk, he slept with the woman, and he killed the baby.
Because of the alcohol.
Because of the alcohol. So, that just illustrates a reality that we know to be true today. Like, they spend $8 billion a year treating NHS. The NHS spends $8 billion a year treating alcohol abuse-related incidences. That's just NHS, $8 billion. That's not talking about the police and the prison system, right? So when you speak to a lot of these brothers and you see the crimes that they commit and the wrong that they do, okay, they do it when they're high. But they do it when they're drunk. Wallahi, how many, I had stories, brothers telling me, I was, watching Netflix with my boys, we were drunk, and then, one of my friends got murdered, and, his body was there on the floor, rotting, and we carried on watching the movies, and we sobered up, we're like, our friend's dead. I have to bury it. Like, if
that story, I never had anything like that in my life.
You heard of it, right? Yeah, so I'm saying it's true. Like, these people are intoxicated. So the thing is, you can't now, like, increase the severity of the laws and fix your laws, put more officers on the streets and, harshen your sentences, but the machine that's creating these criminals, you don't do anything about that, which is the intoxication. Alcohol, it does that. You see what I'm saying? Like drugs, it's not just alcohol, by the way, it's any intoxicant. Anything that intoxicates you. So cocaine, heroin. And what about the drug dealers?
Yeah.
Their punishment will be severe. So they're not going to solve any of these problems.
There is one example though of where I think where recently the British government or in this country there's been a bit of a change towards something which I think is more effective, and it kind of goes in line which I think a couple years ago, 5-6 years ago, this would have been classed as barbaric, because I remember when I was in Jahiliyyah, which was about 4 or 5 years ago, if you were in a police chase, for example, and you were driving recklessly, the police would have to call off the chase. If you were driving the oncoming lane, you were swerving onto the pavement, almost like missing people, like almost hitting them, the police would call off the pursuit. So you just know, okay, cool, if police come behind me, turn the lights on, all I have to do is start driving mad, and they're gonna think, if you're on a motorbike, if you're not wearing a helmet, they weren't allowed to chase you because if something happens, you could die. Or if you're on a motorbike or swerving through whatever, then they wouldn't chase you. Whereas now because I don't know if you guys have heard, but moped crime has
increased a lot.
Surged. Like, it's ridiculous because it's so easy to just get away. If you're on a
what is moped crime? Because I didn't know about it yesterday.
It's just crime that's related to mopeds. So, for example,
what's a moped? Because you've got people in America watching, they don't know what mopeds are.
They do. I think they call them scooters, but it's just like it's a motorbike. Even with just no motorbike, or even a moped is an automatic motorbike, similar thing. But people, they just like ride onto the pavement. Someone's on their phone, they just snatch the phone out their hand. People are in their cars on their phones, which they shouldn't be on their phone anyway. Or it's being used as a sat nav, and they'll just ride past and just snatch it out. From there, some of them they even they go to the extent of they sledgehammers, break into jewelry stores, take jewelry, get on the ped, ride away, so on and so forth. And it's something which just literally become like ridiculous now, to the point where like the people themselves, if you look at YouTube comments, stuff like that, they're saying these people need to be killed, like these people need to die, like these people.
Actually saying that?
Wallahi, if you look at the things, like there's videos of like where the police, they grab the moped, or I'll get onto it. But yeah, so recently the police, they've introduced this new thing called tactical contact, I believe it's called, where and I'll play some videos.
You know about it?
We'll put some videos up where, bruv, they do a mad thing. Literally, the guy being on his moped, bro, the police will literally just ram into him from behind at like 50-60 miles an hour. The guy will go flying. Literally flying.
Wow.
And now they've actually started that now where, bro, they don't care. You go onto the pavement, they jump onto the pavement, ram into you, send you flying and arrest you, say, come on, bro, let's go. And it's starting to get a bit effective now, because now people have realized, oh snap, like I can't just be on a moped and do my thing and get away, because now there's a real chance that, brother, you're gonna see a fat BMW police car come in, and just slam straight into you, and that's working. And again, like I said to you, if you look in the comments of those sort of videos, you'll see people, that's what they deserve. Should have killed him and this and that. Blah, blah, blah. And these are the same people 5-6 years ago, they would have said it's barbaric. So I don't know, maybe perhaps
you know why that's actually quite shocking and that's quite problematic, is because that's actually hypocritical for them to do that. Shall I tell you why? Because the whole reason that they banned the capital punishment and the kind of punishments that the Sharia it facilitates is because of the concept of liberalism. And liberalism, it's got many problems that are against Islam, but one main issue of liberalism is that the person, the individual, has basically sovereignty, as in you as an individual have a right to do whatever you want to do. The society is not greater than you. You and everyone in society individually is as great as each other. Do you understand? But for us, the society, in the Sharia, the society is more valuable than the individual. Do you see?
I don't get it. Say that again one more time for the liberalism one.
To break it down, for them, like for us, we was
So liberalism believes that you can go against the law. Is that
no,
what you're saying?
no, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying individually, your worth is not like the society doesn't mean more than you.
What does that mean practically?
Okay, I'll give an example practically. Why is it that we would, put to death the person who's doing an armed robbery? Like, he never killed no one, but he could be put to death. Why? It's because it's to protect society.
Yeah.
He didn't kill someone today, he could kill someone else. Someone else might think, oh, he done it, and then they start their own little, armed robbery motorbike gang, and they start robbing people, and you know what I'm saying? It's to protect society.
Okay.
For us, we're more concerned about the society as a whole. Does that make sense? So for them, they don't see it like that. They see
that's
it
what
as
you mean.
Yeah, they see it as the individual himself.
And he shouldn't be harmed. That's why,
He
for
shouldn't be
example,
harmed.
they're not gonna chase him down before. They wouldn't chase him down.
Exactly. So
That's
why they would say, look, if the guy's not wearing a helmet, look, he might just stab someone. The guy might be dying, but you're saying you can't chase after him if he's not wearing a helmet.
Yeah.
Why? Because he as an individual is just as important as the rest of society. But that's stupid. Because if you let him get away, he might kill someone else.
He might
kill a third. But the thing is that to do this police brutality thing, if you look at in the footage, some of the way that they're harming the people that they're crashing into, the guy can be paralyzed, his neck down. He could die. He could die the way he goes flying off the car. So I'm saying you're having to actually go against the whole, concept that is the fabric based on which you make laws, they're based on which you run society, which is liberalism, because you're seeing that it's not working. Which again brings us back to the point, which is that it's not just the individual concept of crime and punishment they have to change. They have to change the whole look of society. Because and I tell you right now, they will not solve this problem without getting more aggressive. In order to do that, that is a direct infringement on your individual right. You don't deserve to die, according to them. You know what I'm saying? Okay, you killed someone, no problem. Send him to jail for 25 years.
Yeah.
Put him in jail till he dies. But you can't take his life because he, as an individual, has got the right to live. He's got that right. You know what I'm saying? But that's again.
But his right should have been taken away from when he committed the crime.
Exactly.
That's interesting. They mention a point actually. The scholars, they say that they raise a question, which is that if someone comes and chops off your hand, a random guy comes and chops off your hand, right? What does he have to pay? He has to pay half of the blood money. So when someone's killed, they have to pay blood money, right? So if someone chops off your hand, they have to pay half the blood money. Or if they take off an eye, because you've got two eyes, if they make you blind in one eye, they have to pay half the blood money, right? So they say the hand is worth half the blood money, which might be around £50,000 today.
£50,000?
Yeah, it might be.
Is half or is the full amount?
Half. So that's half. Or it might be, it depends. No, £50,000 might be the full, I think. It depends. Different countries have different blood money in terms of, it's camels, 100 camels. But anyway, so it's worth half the blood money. That's a lot of money, right? But when he steals rubu' dinar, 1/4 of a dinar, which is the amount that a person steals, that his hand gets chopped off, it's worth how much?
A quarter of a dinar.
A quarter of a dinar is around £80.
Subhanallah.
So how come his hand became less valuable? Because that stealing hand became less valuable than the non-stealing hand. It's like that. The soul of the person.
That's actually quite sick.
Yes,
a mad point.
So the soul of the person now here, the reason why we're saying that he deserves to be punished is because his crime made his body less
valuable.
Subhanallah. So his value actually decreases.
It decreases because of the crime.
But you see, for them you can't. You
Exactly,
know why?
for them
because
they
every
can't.
fasiq, every fajr, every person with whatever sexual deviance or whatever criminal mindset, the paedophile is just as valuable and just as important as the academic and that comes back to the issue of voting. Is that you're gonna let these
Everyone's the same.
Yeah, everyone's the same. You're gonna let them all cast a vote, like
If you're in jail, can you vote if there's an election?
I don't think people would.
They're campaigning for it. I don't know
Seriously?
if they used to.
Really?
And I'm sure you never used to be allowed, but they're campaigning for the president to get the vote. I don't know if they got it
and they probably
years
will
ago.
give it to them because
technically you have to. According to
liberalism,
according to liberalism.
I just wanted to ask you, like, what's
That's what
what's the status or how are police in Saudi Arabia looked at compared to obviously we know here the youth and they see feds, I mean, I see majority of them they'll just mock them. You see plenty of videos online where they're recording them saying, "Oh, if that's so." There's one I think recently with a Somali guy. Remember? Have you guys see it? It's some Somali police officer and the guy's going, "Hey, it's you." What are you? This shot starts mocking him.
The best example was that example of that guy. He's like, "Look at the strength." And the police officer trying to put him in the car. Have you seen that?
Yeah,
They're
I've
trying
seen
to put him in the
that.
car.
Look at the strap. He's going mad. But the point is that they're not very well respected. And people take them, mick out them, call them bobbies and this and that, whatnot. You know, like PC Plum or you know,
The
like
people see
No, over there-
police officers. The common thing is, oh, you got bullied in school.
yeah, or you know,
Yeah,
they call them
yeah,
idiot.
so-
You know, what you doing this and that one. And
understand.
literally, they mocked them. Yeah.
And in Saudi, it's not like that. In Saudi, they looked at, from what I've seen at least, they looked at protectors of the country.
So it's not even like they looked at as
Respect.
like oppressive.
No, not oppressive.
It's not
They
fair.
looked at, from what I've seen, the majority of the people, they looked at protectors of the country.
The respect.
Them and the army, out of respect, yeah. Them and the army, they look at, mashallah, they are murabitun, the ones who are protecting our country. The murabitun are the ones who are on the borders of the country, things like that. That's how they're seen.
And-
I think there are a fair amount of people, even in the UK, to be fair, who do respect the
The
police.
police,
and
yeah.
Give them their respect.
The army as
To
well,
be
they
fair,
respect
yeah,
the
even the
army,
army
to
as
be
well, yeah. But I just think generally
but
the
like-
ones who are committing the crimes, that's the real one.
That's-
They're the
yeah,
ones.
so that's the issue. Like even like for example in Pakistan, like it's not like a feeling of we love the police, but you wouldn't talk back because you know you'd be put in your place.
You just give you a slap.
Yeah, do you understand?
Even back in the days here, man, I remember I was doing a course recently, and one of the instructors was telling me that back in the days, there used to be this special police group. I think it's called SPG, Special Police Group, or something like that, KPG, or like something like that, SPG. And basically, they used to basically like literally they would just pull up on you, jump out of the car, give you a good kicking in. If you were hanging around or you know they saw you messing around, they wouldn't not like no paperwork, no jumping out. Excuse me, how's it going? What's your name? Get out of the car,
They just
slap
punch
you
you
up, give you a good little beat, and get back in and drive off. And you would know, okay, cool, I know now not to chill in that corner ever again. Like, and that's how they used to be. And back then, I think it was the crime levels were a lot lower than they are now. Now people are just
Can I
getting
say
too
one
brave.
thing though?
Even police officers are being killed. Sorry, just
Yeah.
on that point. Recently, there's been quite a few instances. Policeman got run over. Policeman got killed in a burglary. He was attending to a burglary, and he got killed. And you know, it's becoming a point where but they're getting attacked. Like you mentioned, the guy in Leighton. It's becoming a bit of a joke. Man.
Nick, can I mention one point? I think the people who are watching now this podcast, they might get the idea that we're looking for violence. Like we want just more anger, more violence.
Yeah.
But to be honest, the reality of the matter is that when these laws are in place, the correct laws are in place, you find there's no need for violence
That's
anymore.
the point.
There's no need for violence anymore, and literally there isn't. You won't find much. And again, some people might be watching, they'll be saying, but this happens in this country, this happens. Even if Sharia happens, someone might still get attacked. Yes, you might get still attacked, but no one can tell me that in a country or a place where Sharia is applied correctly, that it's the same as America and
No,
the
it's
UK
not, of course
at all.
Of course not.
Definitely,
Even in
you
America
can't tell
these
me
days,
that.
bro, every single like recently
America's
there was
like
another
10
shooting.
times.
There's another shooting recently.
There
like
was
6
280
I saw like
something.
3-4 shootings in different states. in
Yeah,
one
just
day.
all the time.
Wow.
Like kids
Yeah.
shooting up schools,
Bro,
shooting up
forget it
this,
is,
shooting up that.
when you got kids running up in schools, spraying up the whole school, actually.
You have no ground to talk. Like,
You know what's mad as well? Because I was talking about, to be honest, it's kind of not relevant actually.
Can I just say also, you know, because people one thought that might come into people's minds is that but like what if you like accidentally like give the person the wrong crime, so the wrong punishment, as in he's innocent.
As in innocent, but,
Yeah.
but the evidence suggests,
But-
or you assume based on the little evidence that you have.
Yeah, but you see, and that comes from a very flawed thinking because I've done law in uni, so I know in this country to find someone guilty of a crime, it has to be
Beyond reasonable doubt.
Beyond reasonable doubt. In the Sharia, it's beyond all doubt, right?
beyond all doubt, yeah.
You can't have. In fact, even if you have, what's the قاعدة؟ ادرأوا الشذوذ بالشبهات.
ادرأوا الحدود بالشبهات, yeah.
So
It's a hadith, but it's weak, but it's
Yeah.
applied definitely. Yeah.
Like if you have, for example, even the slightest question mark, what it is that question mark is enough to push the punishment away.
So,
We're talking even 0.5%.
It's like, for example, even the whole zina thing. You have to have 4 people
For witnesses.
who saw it themselves. They actually saw the penetration. Like, they have to have seen it. Like it's like literally like it's very, very.
And shall I tell you something
does
shocking?
that mean that CCTV camera doesn't apply?
That's a very good question. Actually,
Yeah, that's a good question. There's books on that. There is, and some scholars say it doesn't apply. I don't know any scholars who have said it does apply. To be honest,
I remember
And it wouldn't-
speak to Ustad Bhai, he was saying that it doesn't apply.
it wouldn't apply.
Because
Yeah.
it's true.
Zina,
Because you
zina,
can
'cause
edit
don't
videos
want
so
it.
easily these
Exactly,
days. You
yeah,
can
it
make
wouldn't
someone.
CGI.
Yeah, you can do
Bro,
CGI
bro,
or
when they have dinosaurs running
even
around.
not CGI, but you can actually like edit real footage and make it look like there's someone there who wasn't actually
No,
there.
CCTV wouldn't apply in that situation. In zina specifically.
Yeah.
In other ones it could.
So like even just on that point, you know, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he said something powerful, yeah. He said from the time of the Prophet ﷺ till now, there has never been anyone that's been convicted for zina based on the four witnesses. If they got the punishment, it's because they confessed themselves. Because they wanted to repent. They wanted
punishment in this
purification,
dunya,
yeah.
so they don't get
And
punished
Shaykh
in the
Ibn
akhirah.
Baz rahimahullah said something powerful. And he died about 20 years ago, rahimahullah.
He said from the time of Ibn
He
Taymiyyah
said,
till now.
Yeah, time of Ibn Taymiyyah till now. Also, no one has been convicted of that. People are going to use examples of Iran and say, we say Iran doesn't do Sharia, bro. There's no Sharia. Like, as in, there's no Iran is not a. There's no Sharia there. Do you understand? And
There's Shia there. It's not Sharia. It's just Shia.
The point is that even if you was to bring like Pakistan for example, we're not saying they implement Sharia there, right? They don't implement Sharia there, as in completely. As in,
But
of course,
they have aspects of it.
Of course, I mean completely. But the point of the matter is that as in that's how perfect the Sharia is. That the law is there. It never actually had to get used in that way. But what does that show you? It deterred the people though, because you don't find people sleeping around like Happy Days. I'm saying it might happen, and if it does, you know, they confess. But really, it doesn't happen like that. It's not rampant on the streets.
Yeah.
It's not like the US and the UK. You can say that.
It's not. It's
Not like the West.
Exactly.
I think even I'll be honest with you, even Pakistan nowadays is becoming a lot more like people trying to become more westernized.
Of course, Akhi,
You
but
do
it's
find
nothing
this
that-
girlfriend and
it's
boyfriend
nowhere like
culture
the UK.
spreading a lot more than, like, for example, back in my mom's times when she was living there growing up,
Yeah.
she was like, bro, it's complete. Even when we go on holiday, she goes, it's changed so much now. Like, you
Yeah,
see boys
look,
and
look,
girls.
no,
like,
that has changed, but it's not. You know, one thing I don't like is when people say, Pakistan's worse than England.
oh no,
Dubai is
no, no,
worse
no,
than
no,
England.
no, no.
No, exactly.
Egypt's
Yeah.
worse
From the
than-
angle of
Nah, it's not.
people who say from the angle of, oh, there's Nali on there, and you know, like people trying to say that, oh, you know, like it's worse in terms of dunya. But in terms of your deen and your akhirah, without a shadow of a doubt, I'd
No,
say
people say in terms of deen. They say I don't know.
people say in terms of deen that UK is better.
Yeah, akhi, no. Yeah, akhi.
Yeah,
one
they
person
do.
that used to
But from
believe
what
that
angle though?
highly
From what
changed
angle?
the
From the angle of
opinion.
like hair, there's fitna, every you see naked women and
That's what they believe in Saudi Arabia now. They think that there's concerts every corner now, and
Yeah.
there's a nightclub every corner in Jeddah. No, there's not. It's not the case at all.
but there have been some.
There have been some, but they think that's the case. Like, okay, it's
Yeah.
worse than the UK now. No, it's not the worse than the UK. Chill out. It's bad. It might be getting bad, yes, but it's not worse than the UK.
Akhi, wallahi, akhi, I swear by Allah Azza wa Jal. Akhi, I go to a Muslim country because I travel a lot. If I go to a Muslim country, even if that Muslim country has nightclubs on every street, I swear by Allah Azza wa Jal. And of course, I'm not going into a nightclub before anyone takes me out of context, but I'm saying in a country where there's nightclubs on every street, wallahi, I can feel the difference in Iman when I'm there and when I'm here.
Even I remember one time we were in Dubai in the food court, yeah, and obviously we were just there getting food, and there's a woman who's dressed like very, very, very like inappropriately, and he snitched to the police officer, and the police officer removed her.
Really?
Yeah, he removed her. British
Wow.
tourist, or I don't know if it's British, but like as in Western
Western
tourists. You think not like they're invincible because you know they're tourists and British
you can do that
passport.
in Dubai.
Bro, he snitched to the police officer. The police officer went there, said, yeah, he went over there, said to her, listen, this is not, it's not acceptable.
He said,
You need to leave."
he said either go into the store, buy new clothes, or leave. She went into the store. To buy new clothes.
Wow.
Mad, innit? That
That's
shocked
Dubai,
me. I'll
that's
be honest
Dubai.
with you. That shocked
Dubai.
me. And I was thinking, right, even in Dubai, I thought Dubai,
If
so
you're
drunk,
drunk,
they allow
if
alcohol.
you're
and-
drunk on the streets in Dubai, they'll arrest you.
Wow,
Yeah.
mashallah.
Even
Yeah.
for example, like during Ramadan, they won't even let the kuffar drink outside.
Yeah,
Mashallah.
They're not allowed
yeah,
to.
you're not allowed to eat or
Even
drink.
I went inside. It's a funny story, but basically I was in Dubai during Ramadan, and obviously because I'm traveling, I decided not to fast that day. And basically,
Because you're allowed to not fast while you're traveling.
long story short,
But
basically,
you have to make it up.
I basically ended up in front of some police officers, and I by accidentally started drinking water. Wallahi, the way they grilled me and just like shout at me, A'udhu Billah. They said, you have a lihya, you're drinking, A'udhu Billah. He said, you're worse than the kuffar. I'm like, whoa, they started switching at me. I thought if I say anything else, I'm going to get arrested. The guy, he told me, he said, go sit over there in the corner. He said, shouting at me, doing some
Go and
paperwork.
think about what you
I was
done.
like, wow. And to be honest, I'm not gonna lie, it was very embarrassing because my wife's looking at me like.
Did you tell him, by the way, I'm a traveller, Musafir, and I'm
Huh?
Musafir?
Well, I tried to explain. He was like, even if that's the
even
case,
if this case,
do
yeah.
it in private. Why
It's
are you
true,
doing
it's
it in front of
It's
true.
true,
people?
wallah, it's true.
And
I was in the public.
You wouldn't be allowed to do it in
I tell you
public,
something.
even if
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
I tell you something. You know the kuffar.
Yeah, if the kuffar aren't to it, obviously a Muslim
Yeah.
No,
traveller.
I'm saying, you know the kuffar. If they're caught drinking in public,
They'll get fined.
no, they get arrested.
Fine, arrested. Anything
Yeah.
happen. Anything happen. Like for example, Dubai Mall, you know the food court how it's open. You can just walk in and out.
But
So
I'll give you an
Ramadan, they put.
By the way, just to clarify, we're not
barrier.
saying that countries where they have Sharia or some form of Sharia, we're not saying that they're
Perfect.
free from corruption
No, of
and
course not. Of
you
course
know
not.
there's
We're just
absolutely
saying that-
nothing wrong with their systems or this and that. Obviously, there's still riba going on. Like,
I just believe this. You know this takfiri mentality of, you know,
They're the same as the UK.
yeah, they're the same.
They're not
is there
fine.
any evidence to say that a Muslim land is better than any like?
Like for example, the worst Muslim
Textual.
country is better than the best.
Because I know it's specific to
far
the
country.
Muslim that the worst of the Muslims is better than the best of the kuffar. But is there anything specific to the land?
Can't do qiyas with that.
No. Because in fact, today certain Muslim lands you can't practice your deen, like Chechnya, for example. You can't really practice your deen in Chechnya properly.
Is that a Muslim land?
And
It's a
more,
Muslim country,
okay,
yeah.
you can do it more than here.
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Because I know brothers from there. They have to cut their beards. Some of them, not Chechnya specifically, but certain countries from they were under Russian control. Now they're under Muslim control. They have to cut their beards before they go. Things like that. So you won't say the worst.
Like we said,
But is that considered Muslim land now?
Yeah,
is
we
it?
don't
That's
know
my
every
question.
Muslim country. We don't know every situation.
But overall, in general, as a general
I'll
rule.
give you another example. Like this is something, but
I mean, I think people have that is Saudi.
Huh?
People think that Saudi's worse than even Dubai. You know, 'cause
Do
people
they?
just
Really?
people just hate, bro. I'll be honest with you, people.
Okay.
No, they
But
just talk about Saudi. I
They
don't
just
know.
hate
Yeah,
Saudi,
yeah.
man.
that's their beef. But anyway, and they love Turkey more, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Turkey
In
more.
Turkey, you have half naked women.
You have graves
What-
being worshipped in
you-
masajid. It's even worse.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh,
you have,
that's worse.
you have
You
graves
worship
being
Graves
worshipped
being
in
worshipped in
masajid.
masajid.
And
But why is it that they're so pro-Turkey and anti?
Because they don't care about Tawheed, that's why. They don't care about Tawheed, that's
Yeah.
what it is. Let's make it
And
clear.
I'll be honest, we don't care about Saudi.
Yeah, we don't care about
Wallahi,
honestly, I
we
don't.
care about. You know what the funny thing is? They love to put Saudi on us. I said, man's Pakistani, if anything. I said,
Oh, I thought you said you're not to be nationalist.
No, I'm not.
No, but
I'm
he's
Pakistani.
Pakistani.
You
doesn't-
sounded
he's
proud.
proud.
He touched his heart. I'm Pakistani. You see that? You see that?
Get out
You
of
see
it,
that?
bro.
It come
What I
out,
mean
bro.
is-
That's right.
What I mean is that I say, if you're gonna accuse me of being a bootlicker of some country, accuse me of being a bootlicker of Pakistan. Like, I don't even like. It's true. I have to battle with nationalism myself. I don't even have to battle with nationalism with Saudi. Saudi, I'm like. I
Yeah, I'm not.
don't care.
Yeah,
I don't
it's true.
care.
I don't have no connection to Saudis.
It's
to be
been
honest.
hard for me. Pakistan is hard for me, you know.
I'm
Like,
not.
recent-
I love Saudi from the angle of the Umrah, because we go Umrah quite regularly.
That's Mecca
Alhamdulillah,
Medina.
thanks to
That's
Umrah.
not Saudi. That's Hijaz. That's Mecca Medina, right?
Okay, that's what you mean.
But I'm saying that, for example, recently with the whole Kashmir thing, I see videos of like people in India talking smack. I'm not gonna lie, it's hard for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't become nationalist. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
hard for me. Like the other day, I was watching a video, and I remember like, you know, I was watching like I'm not gonna go. We're going off topic.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
point of the matter is
Way off.
that I'm saying what I'm about to mention is not because I'm trying to promote these countries. I'm just being
Yeah,
fair.
yeah.
Like when I was in Ramadan, I was in the McDonald's, right? The McDonald's 24-hour, and obviously some kuffar are really funny because they don't realize that Ramadan's Ramadan, so the laws are even stricter
Yeah.
in Ramadan.
Yeah.
Than it is outside. So we're in the McDonald's and there's a boy and there's a couple there, yeah, and they're lipsing each other, like they're kissing each other. So I remember I saw, I got angry. I was like, I can't do this. So I'm with Guled and some of the other brothers. Were you there? No, you weren't there.
I
that
got
day.
told story.
Yeah, Sammy
Because
was
it nearly
there.
happened a second time.
Khadr was there, Jordan was there. So basically, as we're there now, I saw the guy. Did I tell you this? Yeah, I saw the guy lipsing. I walked past him and said, "Oi!" I said, "You can't do this in my country." I said, "My country because it's a Muslim country, and I mean it from that
Yeah,
angle." I said, "You can't do this here." The guy tried to talk back to me. I said, "Oi!" I said, "You can't do this here. It's Ramadan. Have some respect." Akhi, the security guards. I said, "Oh, what are you doing?" I put the security guards scared, nervous. I was like, "Bro, you do your job. You can't let them do that out on the streets." He's like, "I'm so sorry. You're right, sir. I'm gonna do my job. I'm gonna do my job." You know what I'm
You're
saying?
quite scary, bro. Sometimes,
Say that again?
You're quite scary in some
No, but
situations.
I'm saying that's the law there. That's the law there.
You should have acted like you were an undercover Fed.
Say that again?
That probably would have worked
No,
better.
that could get him arrested.
Oh, yeah.
I have to
can't
be in
impress
law.
the
I'm not
principal.
The last thing I
That
want
was
to
the
ask
point I
you
wanted to
before we wrap up today's episode, because we're running out of time because we've hired this room out, is the issue that we mentioned previously. We touched upon it, but just to go into a bit more detail, is why is it important that these hudud, these punishments, because someone now after watching this might, you know what, let me go and research what the punishments are. Say, raw, this is the punishment for this, raw, my dad does that, raw, let me, you know, so why is it important that is done by the system, by the qadi, by the judge. Because I remember not recently, but I think it was about a year ago now, maybe 2 years ago in Pakistan. I remember there was someone who did some gustaki, that's the favorite, as in
Blasphemy.
blasphemy. And
MashaAllah.
I know Urdu, bro.
and
I learned it from the Sufi.
and I
They say
think-
Ghuslaki Rasul.
Yeah.
Gustaki Rasul, yeah. And
Sufi
I mean, the concept itself is serious, but it's just the way they, just throw it around everywhere. Like, you Wahhabis.
No, but what that guy done was, I think,
But what that guy done-
that guy mocked the Prophet.
He mocked the Prophet. Yeah. So what he did was actually wrong, and it's a
Yeah.
serious thing, yeah. And I think, was it a security guard or a police officer?
It was his security guard.
That guy's security guard or
Yeah.
police officer or someone like that.
It was
Yeah.
his security guard.
Someone who obviously is entrusted and hired to protect him. He basically deaded him, right? So
Right.
what the government said is that guy has to also be killed now because of the fact that he killed that guy. But the masses went crazy. When I say crazy, I mean, bro, they were setting shops on fire, like breaking it, saying, this guy is a hero. He deserves.
Can I just say something?
Sure.
Just to mention something.
Interrupt me, no problem.
Because I was in Pakistan at the time that all of this was happening, and you know what you said, it was crazy. I'll be honest, when you're there, it wasn't really that bad. It's what they choose to show you online.
Oh, it wasn't
seems
actually that
worse.
bad.
Everything's
I'll be
like that,
honest,
to be honest.
I
They
actually
usually like that for
drove
everything.
through the demonstration, and there was bare people, but it was literally like,
They're just
like,
there.
it was just there. It was just like, wallahi, it was not that deep. Like literally,
You always happen to be
on
even
our-
at London
You
Riot.
always happen to be in places when things are happening. innit? Remember even one of the last episodes you were like, when the
in Pakistan. Same time,
Pakistan's
the bomb, yeah.
Oh,
same
it was
time,
the same time.
trip.
Okay.
I was there for 2-3 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was an interesting trip.
I can imagine. But yeah, the point is that they then killed, the government then ordered that guy to be executed. He was killed. And that caused basically a huge outroar. People said that he was right and what he did was okay and that he shouldn't be punished for it. But what does Islam say about that and why is it important? What's the wisdom behind not letting every Tom, Dick and Harry do it?
First of all, I'm not going to comment on that because I don't know the situation.
Okay.
And I'm not someone who's going to be commenting on that specific situation. But generally, you have something in the Sharia called al-iftiyat al-hakim, which is basically when a person, he takes the law in his own hands. It's not allowed.
Yep.
It's not allowed. Because
Why?
in the hadith of Sayyid al-Aws, Sa'ad ibn Mu'adh or Sa'ad ibn Ubadah, can't remember which one. So the Prophet ﷺ said that if a person, the Sa'ad ibn Mu'adh, someone came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, if I saw my wife committing zina, what do I have to do? I have to get 4 witnesses.
Ubadah,
Ubadah,
no.
Sa'ad ibn Ubadah. So he came and he said, so Rasulullah ﷺ said, you have to get 4 witnesses. If you see your wife doing zina, you have to, even if your wife, because this is before li'an came down. So he said, Sa'ad, it's something that you have to, between the husband and wife, the husband finds the wife committing zina, then there's something called li'an, something specific to them. They have to curse each other. Anyway, yeah. So if the Sa'ad ibn Ubadah, he said, now, am I going to go and look for 4 witnesses just to, for that? No way, I'm going to kill him. So I'm going to kill him. I'm not going to wait for it. So that's taking it in his own hand, right? The Prophet ﷺ laughed. If you look at Ibn Hajar, when he explained the hadith in Fath al-Bari, he actually mentions that this is something that is not allowed. Even if he does it, yes, he might not be punished in the akhirah. Meaning, if he does something like that, he won't be punished in the akhirah for that specific crime. But he's not allowed to be doing that. So therefore, the ruler, the government, they will be allowed to take revenge from that person who took the law in his own hand for being a murderer, for example. So the reason why it's so important for that, the reason why it's important for us to know that is because in the UK, for example, a person might try to take the law into their own hands. Someone commits zina. For example, one time people came to the masjid and they said, our friend committed zina, can we stone him in the garden?
Who said that?
Some takfiris.
No way.
They were kids or actual grown men?
Grown men. They came to the Imam of the masjid asking.
No way.
Yeah, they came asking, can we stone him to death?
Stupid.
Exactly, it's
in
dumb.
our garden as well. Like, you got neighbours, bro. Like Fred is old man Fred's gonna be watching from the window, thinking, "What are they doing? Like, are they playing? Like, are they throwing at a mannequin?" Or and then they realize, "Wow, the guy's bleeding!" Like, "Oh snap!" Called the feds. Like,
So the point is,
These
it's not.
techies are really like that.
Yeah. So this is what. Yeah. So my point is that them now doing that, they wouldn't have gone through the due process of the law
Yeah.
for them to apply the had in the first place. And number 2, they're doing something which is called iftiyat al-hakim. Again, you're not allowed to take the law into your own hands. Because of the fact that you might get it wrong and you might have not got the evidence right, it's not gone through a qadi, the evidence wasn't looked in properly, you didn't know for example, idra al-hudud bil-shubuhat, just because there might be one doubt, so you have to just leave that punishment off. So that's not allowed because of that. So the example would be in the UK. We're not allowed to come and now apply criminal law in the UK when we don't have the authority to do so, and we don't have the authority to do so.
It would actually be haram to apply
It'd be haram, exactly.
Islamic criminal law in a country where it's
Exactly.
not there.
Yeah, and so this answer the question why? Because of the fact that they're not the people of rulership.
And
And
then it would just be anarchy.
It cause anarchy. It can cause tribal wars, for example. It cause wars between gangs. Some like what happens today, right?
Yeah.
One gang kills one person in
Yeah,
the gang,
yeah,
so
yeah.
they kill 10 people from the other gang. Yeah, that used to happen in the Arabs as well back in the day.
To be honest, if you think about
It
it,
causes that
the
as well.
guys
That's
in the
another reason.
streets
They are doing that.
are
They're
actually
exactly doing
doing
that. That's exactly what they're doing.
Like literally,
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
with some brothers the other day.
Bro, I never did that.
I was invited to an estate to give a talk where there was a brother who was recently just murdered. So I was talking to them about the importance of leaving off your knives and leaving off. But just as a side point to mention, if anyone tries to accuse us of being barbaric or inciting violence, all we've been doing is taking knives off the streets. By the way, recently, and
Alhamdulillah.
So for anyone to do that to us, that would be very unfair. Just mention that as a side point before it gets chopped up. So what was the point I was saying? Yeah, I was speaking to the brothers, and they were good guys. Good guys. Of course, they're on the streets, there's problems, but you can see they've got good hearts. And then when I talked about, the danger of killing a Muslim or even killing a non-Muslim and the serious punishment for it, that one guy he was like, but what if they killed your friend? What if they killed one of your friends? Now you can see he wants to kill the guy, but not from the angle of because he's evil, or it's just he's trying to take the law into his own hands. Basically, that's what it is, isn't it? So now Sharia, there's no Batman, basically.
But some people might use there are evidences that people use. They might use, like for Ibn Mas'ud applying the had on certain people, or some of the Sahaba applying the had on certain people. Some people might come and they say, okay, why did the Sahaba, they weren't the ruler, why did they apply the had?
What's the response?
The response to that is that
They were the Qadi.
they weren't. Number one, it could be that they were the Qadi. Number two, that they had a position under the Amir, the Khalifa, which was Umar ibn Khattab or Uthman, where they were given permission to do that. So technically they were the
Permission
Qadi.
of governance.
Exactly, they were
It's
given
like
permission of government.
Yusuf al-Islam, right? He was given permission to do whatever he wanted, basically. So it's like he was...
No, but exactly, he was a minister.
He was governing according to however he was.
Basically, you have permission from the
Basically, he had permission. So we can't use these evidences which show the Sahaba doing it. And we have clear-cut evidences on the whole Sharia showing that only the rulers are the ones who are allowed to apply the hudud. And you can't. So basically, they take the mutashabihat. They take the mutashabihat of the ayat. These ayat
What's mutashabihat?
The ayat which can be interpreted in two ways, and they choose the wrong interpretation. They say, look, he was a Sahabi, so he applied it in his own. He applied the law in his hands, or he took the laws into his own hands. Therefore, we're allowed to do it. But that's not the correct way, because if you look at the clear-cut ayat of the Quran and Sunnah, that it shows that only the rulers are allowed to do that.
On that note, inshallah, I think it's been a very extensive and comprehensive discussion. And let us know in the comments whether you agree, whether you disagree. Are there aspects that you think could also be improved that we missed out in terms of?
I don't think laymen should be given the opportunity to disagree. Not that I'm saying we're not laymen, but
no, as in there might be certain points that we've mentioned. Not
as
in
in
general.
textual, unless you're coming from an angle of, I don't like that concept of. It's not if you agree, disagree. We gave Quran, Sunnah.
No, but there are a lot of things that we said. For example, I believe that the police should have done this and they shouldn't do this.
You're right, but I'm hearing you, but it's just that concept of because remember you have to separate and do.
I'm saying there's nothing wrong with people commenting what they think.
Because there's liberals out there listening who are looking at these ayat and these ahadith because they've been affected by liberalism and individualism.
I get what he's saying. He's saying like, we don't have a right to disagree with the Quran and the Sunnah, but you can't disagree with us.
We might have made a mistake. We might have made a mistake. Quran and Sunnah for the whole 45 minutes.
That's what I'm saying. Separate the two. I'm saying let them know the Quran, Sunnah, the ayat, the issues of no one can turn around and say I disagree and these punishments are barbaric. No one can say anything like that. If I see if there's anything in the statements like that in the comments, that person has to know that they could come with kufr by saying that.
They could lead the fold of Islam.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So if there's anything that is not from the Quran and the Sunnah that you disagree with or agree with, let us know what your thoughts are, what you think the government should do to improve crime figures and so on and so forth. Like I said earlier, if you want to get one of these, matching in the masjid t-shirts, they're available, different sizes, different colors. Click the link below, inshallah. And until the next episode, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Guys, give salam.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.